Avalanche members about what they're going to be doing in terms of their company, like downsizing, but also the expansion. So basically, and I'll just show you a screenshot because you don't need to worry about like their whole roster. But this is what's going to happen.
Mute yourself, Bull.
So you just take a look at that. The only two, well, first off, they're going from 4 platoons to 6 platoons, but everybody's only getting 3 squads per platoon. That doesn't mean that every fourth squad specifically is getting removed and tossed around. It just means that, company did their job. They went around and said which one of these squads in each platoon should go to the new Cyclone, whatever. So they sorted it out for the most part. Everybody will remain active and with them, so there's no need to worry about the Avalanche members. Besides that, we have 2 new operations that we need to attend to, and that also means our lineup with 1 flight per platoon is not exactly going to work anymore now that there's going to be 6 of them. So wherever you are now, it's actually there. There's going to be a major adjustment to the schedule so that it reflects more carefully on who's going to be going where. When these changes actually happen and we actually have to worry about the 6 platoons, we're going to need to really hone down on just using the schedule. I mean, we kind of been lax about it right now because everybody kind of has the one that they go to, but even if you think you can help in another place, I don't know, you guys, you just can't sleep or something, you decide that you want to get on to the Thursday operation at 8 o'clock Eastern, just do your best to try and mark those times that so we can see that you're going to attend and go to these. All right, it's going to be a lot more stressful, but in turn, with less squads, there also there's less lats that are required. Obviously, right now, each operation functions very well with 4 lats. I think that we will be very comfortable with. We would be extremely comfortable with 4. We would be okay and manageable at 2. You know, and instead of just looking into TFAR, it's kind of going into the next point. Just looking into TFAR is not going to be enough to see if there's enough pilots on the team on the operation. So, if you are available and you see that there's an operation going on, just go in and see if the other Razor pilots that are there are doing well or not. You can get a pretty good feel of what the server feels like when you get onto the server. If it feels really choppy and the desync is horrible, just get off. That especially more recently. Our servers are not doing well with 4 squads, and the many of us from the detachments on the server. Okay, so try to manage that by just getting on, checking, see for yourself, is it good enough for you to be there or not, and then if it's bad, then you are excused from that operation. You don't have to attend. While I try to remember the next thing, questions. Zora.
For Minoc, for NSM PMASD, how is Minoc operations functioning in particular? Do we have any information on that at this time?
As far as I can tell, they are that's like their FTXs. I don't know. They won't always need us. I doubt they will. But it's mostly going to be trainings and whatnot because they're not always required during the campaign. It's not like they're going to be doing it every week either. I don't think. If anything, they'll request or make an op word that includes us, and that's how we'll know that we need to be there. Otherwise, then don't go. That also includes when I'm pretty sure if they actually have a role in the campaign where it's just them doing something, that's the day that they'll do that. And we might be there, depending on if there's a Razor token or not. Kushiban.
It's about attendance and what you just said,
Yeah.
but also about the operation we'll have in third platoon, like in less than an hour. We have 7 people right now that have said they were coming on the Alliance announcement. It is only reinserts, so we don't need that much people.
For these campaigns, we need to be very careful with how many people are on the server. Now, 7 people for just reinserts is a lot. If
3
after
enough.
this some of you can go to Ackley or something else, then just do that. Or again, fun ops, because whether there's a campaign or FGX going on or not, there's always fun ops as well. Just having that presence is very important. It's actually quite embarrassing to say, that we have certain people that'll. I mean, certain names come up, and it's not. I mean, we understand amongst ourselves what the situation is with certain people not being on during fun ops and whatnot. But I mean, if you can, just go, even if it's just for one fun up or something, because it does get very embarrassing to say that there's only certain people that will only show up for certain things at these very specific events, I guess. So everybody just kind of needs to make an effort to just get on the fun ops. I know that they just can't, they're not always that great and whatnot, but just try. If you want, you guys can all hold hands and just jump into that pool together. It makes you feel better. Invite someone else to come with you. Neb.
Do we have an expected time frame of when at least the changes for Avalanche/Cyclone are going to happen, or at least expect to happen?
Well, so all of the plans are being made already. They got mostly a pretty good idea of who's going to be going where, but it's going to be pretty sudden, and it's going to be after we finish this campaign planet, this particular planet, the pirate one, I think. That could take anywhere between 2 or 3 weeks. Or if we're really good this weekend, then maybe next week it'll happen. But yeah. Frisk.
This is kind of unrelated, but do we have that doc up for the upcoming ride-alongs for feedback on them? Or do you want me to just make something?
It was started.
I just figured since the cycle's coming up.
I know. They're not going to be doing ride-alongs until starting the 22nd next week, but I'll give you guys something to do that on.
Okay, thank you.
Zoro again.
Regarding the whole introduction of Cyclone, is this going to be acting the same way how Ackley 2 was introduced, where they're going to cut off an entire Avalanche squad to introduce? And do we know how badly this, or it's just probably targeting towards you, how badly this can affect servers?
Well, basically, so the reason why this is all happening is for server performance. I mean, just less people on the server equals performance. And the people that were the guinea pigs for this were Ackley. They did that. They did the 3 squads. They, which flipped one of the squads around to become another, so that they could upscale to a company, and then they got another operation day. They're essentially doing the same exact thing because Avalanche has tried a lot of different stuff to try and improve server performance with force squads. It's just not working. So they are, with Ackley as leading the charge on this. That's the reason why it's happening. I mean, they can see that the servers are just going better with Ackley operations. Was that your question? Did I answer?
No, that
Okay.
pretty much sums up anything. There was a third one, but I feel it's not important.
Okay. Kushiwan.
Just for information, I will delete everything in the schedule after I've made modifications. For the week starting the modification, everything will be cleared because it's going to be easier for me to copy paste like that. Which means that the people that have put like more than a few weeks or even until the end of the year will need to redo everything.
Yeah, I'm expecting that everybody will have to take a look at the schedule again. And whenever that's done, Kushiwan, probably some sort of announcement to say. Start marking.
I need to find something.
Everybody's just got to make a schedule and plan ahead so that we can make sure that everybody has enough pilots. We need, use the general channel to say who's going to be going here, here, and here, and you guys can plan amongst each other. How can we get 3 lats at each operation, or how many lightning can be here, or whatever. You just make an effort to plan for it. That way we know for sure that nobody's gonna be by themselves in an operation, or worst case scenario, they don't have any pilots at all. That would be pretty bad. Okay. And Lightning, you guys have been doing a pretty good job to break away from like the AFK part of Razor and all that, and it's really showing. And now they're just picking on a few individual people. But I kind of want to move away from that light entirely. Stop giving people a reason to say this person's AFK or whatever, because I don't like listening to it. I don't think that it's really fair to the members, when people make those comments. So, everybody should be doing themselves a favor, and everybody else that's here. We are on one side of the fence in that regard. Gotta fight that together. Shuffles.
Yes. I might have already missed this, but you mentioned earlier with the larger number of platoons, the flight thing isn't going to work now, with first going to 1-1. Did you say you already had an idea of how that was going to work?
We're just gonna. On that? Well, we're not going to be changing we're not going to be adding or removing or changing the flights that we have right now. It's just going to be, the schedule. Like that'll be the only way we know who's supposed to be where, for sure. Just because you're in first flight doesn't mean that you got a first platoon anymore. You go to the one that is most convenient for you at this point. But plan ahead. Everybody should be trying to get. Our goal is to have 3 pilots at each operation. So, team effort. Don't worry just about your flights. And, flight commanders, you don't need to worry about just every individual person anymore that's just within your flights. Unless that doesn't include activity checks. It's just, everybody should be checking up on each other to make sure that we have enough people for operations and stuff. So Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Nev.
So aside from the obvious, needing to be more available for the operation on Thursday and then the additional operation for Saturday, are we changing any of our, I guess, overall how we operate? With all that just aside.
Us changing as a result of this, no. Just the additional operations. Everything will remain the same. In terms of like innovating and changing for the future, I do have lots of ideas that I now have time for because I turned down being the XO for the unit because screw that. And we'll probably see about changes and whatnot in the future. Also, a lot of our future depends on the result of TCW. So, those vehicles. I mean, we're really trying to get away from swap. At least everybody else in the unit that in leadership and whatnot, they want to get away from swap. So, if you don't say anything about those vehicles that we currently have in TCW, then they're not going to get fixed. That stuff really needs to get fixed. There's a lot of there's a lot of very not so great things about them. And our goal is to try and get them as close to the Mark IIIs that we currently have right now. All right, it's not just a copy and paste job either. It's a lot of checks and balances on these vehicles. So take your notes and then make a document, do it together, send me those things so that we can all be on the same page, and I can push that stuff on the TCW devs. And and then also when it comes to the Oxmod stuff, I mean, I understand that there's like this whole thing where TCW, I mean that they're them, and that there's a fear in the background that they're going to be taking away from the work that gets put into Ox or whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean, just think about what would be best for us just here. Who cares if other people decide that they want to use good stuff? All right. I mean, I understand the matter of principle and just the other person trying to be you want to be better than the other person for one thing, or you want or that the other group doesn't deserve to have like good stuff because they're getting paid and they're not putting in the effort, whatever the reason may be. I mean, at the end of the day, we should just care about what's going to be the best outcome for us. Because when that day comes, when they try to really start pushing on TCW to become the replacement for swap, and then we're screwed with something that has torpedoes that don't lock on to anything and lasers that are broken, and you can't see anybody when they get into the lat, all of these issues, but we're left with just this piece of crap to deal with. It's gonna be real. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be horrible for all of us to deal with that. So, everybody should just do what they can, because I mean, all of the other lats from all of the other Star Wars mods that exist, they're never going to show up on the servers because of those kinds of petty things. We can't have a cool lat that has pylons on them like Legion Studios does, because and they have different types of lats. One's without ball turrets, one's with without pylons. There's like a different lat for every flavor of the day, but we can't use them because of differences with another group of people. I think that the only way things are going to get better is just to move past that kind of stuff. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. Just think about what's going to be better for us and for us to enjoy. Okay, if there's not, I think I'm caught up with the PTSs, right? Okay, there's two more things I want to cover. So, more recently, we dealt with a particular pilot that obviously isn't here anymore. You know, starting problems and things that, you know, it was a bad situation and all that. I'm just gonna say it right now that if you're a person that doesn't want to just come and talk to us because we have this rank or we're in this position or whatever, I mean, just slap yourself because that's stupid. You should just come and talk to us because we're another person here. We're just another human being. You know, especially me, Caskin, we can be real. We can say when something's being dumb or when something's getting blown out of proportion or something. I mean,
Orange, you're being dumb.
we exactly. And I mean, we're pretty easy people to talk to. We're not gonna pull a rank on you or anything because this is the internet and we don't do that kind of stuff. We just want you guys to be comfortable here. Okay? If you find that you're not comfortable here or something in Razor, where I mean that's our responsibility and you should just share those things. Talk about it. You know, if it really is a problem. And if it's considering another person in the unit, like you are so upset for whatever reason because of another person that exists here, I mean, it's gonna happen. There's a lot of people here. I mean, there's a lot of really bad people here. People believe different things. It's just gonna happen. But get used to it, okay? Because here is really not that different from life. You're gonna be running into people all the time that are just mean and disgusting people, or that don't give you a chance, or that will continually make you upset, okay? Whether that's within your own family or they're just the people you're surrounded by at work or school, it's just going to happen, and it's going to happen for the rest of your life. But the one thing that you can count on is that the leadership that are here in Razor, the people, you know, that are designated to be your, you know, superior officers or whatever, we're just people too, and we can talk to somebody when they have a problem and we can sort it out. Especially me. Everybody knows that's been here with me for a long time. If I hear about something, I will handle that within the hour. Day one. There's not going to be this strung out long discussion of all of these things. Don't worry so much about the COC or whatever. I mean, you know, it's not like you're a private going to a colonel in the actual military, because that's absurd. You wouldn't do that. It's just not the same here. There's also less of us in the squadron, which means that the COC is significantly scrunched. But we're also telling you, don't worry so much about the COC. Let us handle a problem as soon as it happens, right away. We can discuss it as a group. We can get it done. Okay? Okay, and then the last thing I want to talk about is the way that ITAs are going to be going. I'm going to start continually inviting the senior leadership of the unit, everyone from CP and above, to start coming to the ITAs and participate. Per person that we have on a watch list, this is the way it's going to work. So for this 25th cycle, we have 3 people that are very likely to participate, show up on for the ITA. Okay. We're gonna need 30 people in addition to some other leadership to be present when we actually have the test, because these guys are going to be split up and we're going to guide things in a very specific way to showcase the different parts of ITA, of how the training is supposed to work. You yourself will be an instructor with that person sitting with them in the co-pilot seat to get this done. When you guys go to the ITAs, though, just don't screw around, especially around the guys that are taking the test, and especially around the NCOs and officers. Don't want to do that. But I mean, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna give you instructions on what to do. You're just gonna help me get through it. Hopefully, when we split them up and do all the things, it'll go by faster as well. We won't take out some of the group things like the extended hovering at the very beginning. We might do that for a little while. My intent is that the longer stuff like the hovering will be done while none of the NCOs are on the server, and then I'll invite them all onto the server after they get done with like the non-showcasey kind of stuff, and then we'll move on to exercises where they can actually see the things that we do. Okay, so this coming, well, it's going to be after the 22nd, probably be in June when they actually take the test. So, we'll need people then. But the reason why this is happening is because, eyes are coming back on us again for whatever reason. And we need to display exactly what kind of careful planning we have to do during the operations, because there's a lot of people that don't understand how CAS is supposed to work, and Free Fire and all of these things. Like, we all know how even down to reconnaissance, we're not marking everything on the map. You do things systematically. Like, this comes before this. We mark armor, we mark emplacements, but we don't mark everything down to the last detail right away to not spoil the operation. All of those details and things that make up what our job is, they don't understand that. Or many of them don't even know that we plan things that particular way. And so, those will be all things that I explain to them during the when we do this ITA. I mean, usually we do things like reconnaissance at the end of the ITA, but I mean, one of you guys is going to be doing it immediately right away at the start when we can show it to them exactly, this is how we're supposed to do it and all that, and this is what we explain to them, so that they really get a full rundown of information, okay? But that also means, even when we're not in ITA and whatnot, if you hear somebody that's like a little bit less informed, I'm not going to say ignorant, I'm not going to say arrogant, but if it sounds like that in a certain way, handle it the right way. Don't just say, well, actually, this is the way that we actually do it, and just start going into it with them. It's just like, you can just offer it, really. I can explain to you what we actually do, because that's not exactly what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to mark things like this. I mean, just turn it into a conversation, and just knowing what you're talking about will put somebody in their place better than if you were to, high and mighty them, okay? The actual knowledge, being knowledgeable about something, being the expert in a certain thing is going to come off better than if you were to just be a know-it-all about it and, unpleasant, essentially. Okay. Questions on that? Prof.
Just real quick, do you want a warden to possibly attend the ITA just like the last cycle to help them understand the tower situation?
Yes. Especially for tower, understanding how base operations work. Either way, they'll get a briefing on how to and be told how to do it. But actually having somebody there to do it with, would be more valuable in terms of their learning. Okay, any more questions? All right. So get the TCW testing done, work out times and plan your schedules based on that screenshot, which operations you plan on attending. And you guys are. I did not say who was going to be an instructor. I just said that um, when an ITA happens, we'll pick certain people to be with certain candidates. It'll be a structured training. Well, a more structured training. It's a structured training anyway, but it'll just be more structured. Okay. If you guys are in Ackley, or if you have time to go to Ackley, I would go now. And then everybody else is free to go. Let's prepare for third platoon.
Third platoon already told them we might be late, just that they book me when they start and will come.
Well, let's just go do what we gotta do. We're finished.
So I actually missed the last 5 minutes because